And I'm delighted to say that joining us on the podcast is David Mooney from the Blue Moon Pod. David, brilliant to have you with us. Thanks so much for joining us. First of all, I'm not going to talk about the game this weekend. I'm not going to talk about anything that we normally cover with City fans. What I want to talk about first of all is a little bit of a look back. Manchester City were on the end of their first Carabao Cup or League Cup defeat in 5 years at the hands of West Ham. What seems like ages ago now, but not too long ago. A dramatic one at the London Stadium, a superb occasion for us Hammers fans. What was the feeling like for you and among City fans afterwards? Because from what we saw and we commented on the pod, they were all very gracious and, if anything, happy to, if they were going to lose, it was against the Hammers.
Yeah, I don't know if this meme has carried over to the West Ham side of things, but there's kind of like the handshake emoji that goes around on Twitter. We kind of have that, but like West Ham Chester City. I don't know why that thing has taken off, but there does feel to be this really nice connection between the two teams. And you're right, if anybody was going to knock us out of the Carabao Cup, then kind of glad it's West Ham, and kind of hope they go on and win it now. That's the sort of level we're at. Yeah, it was. It's really, really strange to say this, because most teams look at the League Cup and the Carabao Cup and go, well, it's just the most pointless cup in the country. Nobody takes it seriously, and we all kind of fell for it and fell in love with it, because it's like, it doesn't make any sense. It's got three handles and doesn't look like it's a weird competition. You get two legs in the semi-final for absolutely no reason whatsoever. It's over in the middle of February. Nobody wants to win it, and so City just kind of went, "Yeah, let's win this every season," and it's a good laugh. I was actually really disappointed that we got knocked out, because there was the sponsorship. Carabao came in the year that Guardiola won his first one, and if they were able to win it this season, and I think next season, they'd have been the only ever winners of the Carabao Cup before it changed sponsorship. And I just liked that little that little thing, because I like the other it's so spectacularly bad. Like, even Carabao spelt their own name wrong on their Twitter feed. The draw is done at 3:00 in the morning because it's being done by a former footballer from Barnsley in a supermarket in Thailand. There's absolutely nothing to love about this competition. So we all go there and go, yeah, go on, let's give it a good crack. And it was a cracking game against West Ham, and one that I think I think the one thing that City fans are good at times is certainly the away following. When we get beat, and we deserve to get beat, and we deserve to get beat on that night, I think the fans are very good at going, yeah, the other team played very well. Let's give it to them. They deserve in this case the cup progress, but in other cases the points.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, we'll stick on that while you've mentioned it there. First of all, what I find baffling, don't you think that you're the first City fan I think I've spoke to who said the competition is ridiculous and who don't think much about it? But I just think it's such an easy thing for football fans to say, as long as they're not winning it.
Yeah. That's
imagine, can't you? Yeah,
that's how stupid it is. That we win it every year and we still think it's daft. Like that's what I think that's what we love about it. And I mean the other side of it is as well from like Guardiola's point of view. He'll leave City and he'll go, well, look at how many trophies I won here. Yeah, okay, 100 of them with the Carabao Cup, but like it still adds to his trophy haul. And okay, you look at the last decade, and we as City fans, we've been absolutely spoilt with the number of competitions we've played in and won. But before 2011, they'd not won a trophy in my lifetime, and they'd not won anything since the 70s. So it seems awfully snobbish to turn our noses up at every single competition. When we were being managed by Stuart Pearce in 2006 and 7, and not scoring at home and really not playing entertaining football, we'd have bit your hand off for a League Cup. So why should that change now just because we got a bit of money and won the lottery and we're able to bring in all these great players to play in the Champions League? We still should, give each competition the respect it deserves and try and win it.
Definitely. I mean, for most Premier League club, and you say that about City, it's not like this is a thing, Burnley would give their right arm. Tottenham would absolutely snap your leg off to win it. So would Arsenal at the moment. Like, and any of those two, West Ham definitely would. I think we're a little bit less like our fans don't pretend as much as others. We'd love to win it, a day out of Wembley and all that comes with that. The way football is these days, those days out of Wembley seem to be concentrated on a few smaller groups of fans. Obviously get those because of the nature of the game. But I don't really hold any credence to people who say to sneer at the Carabao Cup. I think
the other thing is,
a football fan
from a City point of view as well, it's actually the Carabao Cup is actually a more interesting competition at that stage of the season than the Champions League. Okay, this season's a little bit different because of the group that City have been drawn in, but most of the time City are drawn into a group with 3 teams that they should beat home and away, and they get through the group fairly comfortably. They might have the odd bad result here and there. But like a couple of years ago, they lost to Lyon in the first group game. And even then, there was absolutely no jeopardy that they were going to get out of that group. They were still going to play, I can't remember who it was, probably Shakhtar and Dinamo Zagreb and those sorts of teams, because they seem to draw Shakhtar every single season apart from this one. But they're still going to go to those teams. They'll get enough points to get out of the group. Where the Carabao Cup, by the time that the Champions League gets interesting in the second half of the season, you've played the final of the Carabao Cup and you've either won it or lost it, or you've been knocked out somewhere along the way. So it for the stage of the season it's in, it's actually quite an interesting competition. And you're not on that kind of slog towards the long-term goal of getting into the Champions League knockout and getting it, into the Premier League title race. You can drop points in August and September in the Premier League title race, and you know that you can still be in it by May because there's so much of it left to play. Drop a game in the Carabao Cup early on, and that's it, done and dusted. It's over.
Yeah. Look, David, before James butts in and asks you about the football and what we've got coming up and the quality of City's team, all that sort of stuff, the usual sort of thing. You mentioned it there about City fans being quite willing after a defeat to just sort of hold your hands up and go, yeah, fair enough, we were beaten there. I think some parts of the West Ham fan base are, others not so much.
It's the same everywhere. It's the same everywhere.
Yeah. But we're getting better. But you mentioned there is this weird, or not weird, I quite like it. I had an affinity for City, I think, before, and City fans particularly. I think there's similarities in the club, often been the smaller but passion, as in a smaller team success-wise in a major city in England, working class fan base, but with a large fan base who love their team, and it's one of the most important things in their lives, etc., etc. I understand why West Ham Man City fans got such a bond. We spoke because we beat Manchester City and Liverpool in quite quick succession, and the difference. And I know you can't use Twitter as a window into how the world is,
but let's do it anyway.
Yeah. But here we go. Yeah. And the difference in fan reaction, particularly about the willingness of City fans to go, yeah, fair enough, and the bitterness and whatever from Liverpool, whilst completely ignoring any fourballs or fortuitous decisions that they got themselves, was like chalk and cheese, absolutely unbelievable. What do you put that down to? Sort of mainly the West Ham and City thing, but that sort of difference, if you like, because you get that a lot. The difference between City fans, you still seem quite humble in comparison to some of your larger neighbours.
Yeah, I wonder if it's two things. First off, I wonder if it is the fact that it was the Carabao Cup and it wasn't a Premier League game. I think if it had been a Premier League game that you beat us in, it might the feeling might have been a little bit different, because despite what I said earlier, every game matters in City's hunt to kind of win the title these days. There was that season where Liverpool and City were on 98 and 97 points, I think it was. And you look at that season, you think, goodness, but any drop points in that year, and like you can break a record for the second place and get so close to winning the league and get nothing. So I wonder if the Carabao Cup was part of it. I also wonder if it's. I wonder if the sorts of fans that are more vocal on Twitter are kind of less for City, are less kind of impact, kind of cross the divide. And what I mean by that is that I wonder if the vocal City fans just kind of get drowned out by the ones who are much more kind of focused on what City have done wrong. When City have lost, there's very much you get the usual factions. Oh, the referee was biased against us, or the opposition cheated in this way, or that was never a penalty, or whatever. But there's a lot of City fans who'll go, well, Pep was just being incredibly bold and made this really, really strange decision with the lineup, and his tactics didn't quite work out on this. And why did he keep doing this? Why did he not just put the good player here, sort of thing? And the third thing that I can kind of think of is that, the worst period in City's history is still within living memory for pretty much nearly every City fan. City's only season outside the top two flights was in 98-99. And I was 12, 13 at the time. And I'm 34 now. So it's 20 years ago. It's not a long time ago in the grand scheme of things. So while a lot has changed for City in the last few years, I think a lot of City fans still kind of view the club in that kind of, oh, we're going to Macclesfield this week, we're playing Wycombe and we're playing York and all this sort of thing. And you kind of, it's very hard to snap out of that mentality. There's sometimes when City lose, there's this real cognitive dissonance that you get where you go, yeah, but at least we didn't lose to Macclesfield this week. At least it was to Real Madrid. But then you go, yeah, but the team that lost to Macclesfield hadn't had £200 million spent on it. It didn't have a bench that was worth 500 million or whatever it is. So like there should be levels of criticism that are allowed based on the kind of parameters that go into the team. So I wonder if all of that kind of builds up into this fan base that, just to be honest with you, doesn't really know what to think. We finish a game and I have so many conflicting thoughts when they've lost. I don't know what's right and what's wrong anymore. So it might just be all of that coming together, and then on top of it, City and West Ham get on quite well as well. So that could be it.
David, you mentioned briefly earlier about a time in City's history when couldn't score at home, could barely sell out the ground before the takeover. It was all doom and gloom, and then takeover happens, and now I associate Man City playing at home with 5-0 victories. And I think that's happened already a couple of times this season. But there have also been a couple of times this season where City have been undone. Southampton travelled there, got a goalless draw. Palace recently won their 2-0. Those two games in particular, have they given West Ham a bit of an insight into how to actually take points off City at the Etihad? Because I don't think we've done it. I think we've done it once since the takeover.
Yeah,
I avoid a thrashing.
Yeah, you beat us. I think you beat us on Kevin De Bruyne's debut.
25,
back in 2015.
15, 16.
Yeah, under Bilic.
Yeah. I think the thing with City is this sounds awful. This sounds awful for you guys because I think a lot of it is down to which City turn up, and I don't think it's really what the opposition do. Although that being said, I think Palace and Southampton did. They defended a lot differently to how teams like Everton and Arsenal and Norwich did. I mean, Arsenal and Norwich were woeful. Everton were marginally better, but not much. What Palace and Southampton did was they didn't try and sit deep and just block the box and give City no space. I remember Moyes did that with West Ham. I can't remember if this was before he left West Ham and came back again. But I remember he came to the Etihad in the year that City got 100 points, and we won 2-1. But it was a really, really hard fought game. We really had to battle to get the points in that game. And I seem to remember Moyes not really leaving, having everybody packed in the defence and not really leaving the box. And City found it really hard to kind of break through. These days, when teams do that, City find it a lot easier to break through. But what they struggle against is teams that mark the space. So the big pass that City always want to make is from one of the two centre backs into Rodri. And if that pass can be made, it means the centre backs can split and he can either knock it back to one of them or he can turn on it. And it just opens the pitch up for everybody to play through. What Palace and Southampton did was they didn't press the centre backs. They basically said to City, look, you have the ball. If we press you, what's going to happen is you'll just pass it past us. What we'll do is we'll make sure that whoever's got the ball doesn't have the pass on to the holding midfielder and force them wide. And what City do then is they go, okay, we'll go wide because that pass isn't on to the middle. They knock it to one of the wingers, and if they've got inverted wingers on the pitch, so if Raheem Sterling's playing on the left and Mahrez is playing on the right, those players want to cut inside, and so suddenly the pitch becomes very, very narrow, and there's nowhere for City to go. And so they knock it back again to the fullback, who then knocks it back to the centre back, who doesn't have the pass onto the middle, and we start again, and we just pass it around the round. And that's basically what happened against Southampton and Palace. Southampton's slightly different because Southampton had a lot more of the ball than Palace did. And then what Palace did really effectively that Southampton were unable to do was go, okay, now you don't have a pass on, we're going to put you under a little bit more pressure. And they did it twice to Laporte. And in one instance, he gave the ball away and Zaha scored. And in the other instance, he couldn't catch Zaha, pulled him down, got himself sent off. And as soon as they put that little bit of pressure on, City didn't really have any avenues to get out. And they didn't really know what to do. And it was kind of like, well, when Guardiola's system doesn't really work, his only answer is, well, this normally works, so we'll just keep doing this. And there are games sometimes that start and you go, City they're just not going to score it because it just isn't working and they've started badly and it's not going to get better. So if I was speaking to David Moyes right now and saying, here's what you need to do to beat City, it's not pack the defence and sit deep. It's make sure that you are, solid in your shape and you don't break ranks too easily. But when City have the ball, make sure there's no pass into the middle. Make sure that Rodri cannot get on the ball. As soon as Rodri gets on the ball and can accept the pressure, he has options then to pass it through and the lines can be broken. If you can cut that out, then City have a real problem. That's not to say that you do that successfully and City will lose or draw because they do still find a way through sometimes. You get moments of magic and you get little bits of luck, that sort of thing. But they find it a lot more difficult to actually break down the opposition when that happens. So my worry for this season is that West Ham look pretty good when it comes to taking on the big boys, and I think Moyes has had a pretty good plan for these sorts of games. So if we could have the David Moyes that was in charge of Manchester United for this weekend, then I'd be much happier than the one that we've got right now.
Speaking of that, which players do you think that Pep Guardiola might be keeping an eye on in the West Ham team in terms of potential to kind of harm his City side?
Well, I think the difficulty for him is that he over. I don't want to say he overthinks things and he over kind of estimates things, but what he does is he sees like little dangers and goes, right, I need to mitigate against that. And it'll be something that doesn't happen, like happens once every 6 weeks or so that a player can do. And he'll go, we just need to make sure that doesn't happen. And in putting all his energy into making sure that doesn't happen, something mad happens on the other side of the pitch that he just hasn't accounted for. And I just wish sometimes he would just relax a bit. Go, look, you cannot control everything, so don't try and do it. That being said, I don't like big physical strikers. So Antonio is somebody that I think will always cause City problems. He did the 1-1 draw last season at the London Stadium. I think he was a real problem for City in that game. I think he scored, didn't he? I don't really think they got a handle on him that day. And I think that sort of presence up front concerns me. And anybody with a bit of pace, I don't really know the West Ham squad that well, so anybody with a bit of pace that could get in behind Diaz could be problematic. Diaz is good; he's just very quick.
Lads, it's fair to say winter has arrived. It's getting colder. It's probably going to snow any minute now. And thoughts are beginning to turn to Black Friday and, of course, Christmas. Well, if you're looking for a bargain upgrade to your male grooming routine or know someone that seriously needs a bit of a tidy up, then our partners, Manscaped, have the perfect gifts to put that right with a whole host of impressive products we think you just need to have. What's more, you can get 20% off and free shipping when you use the code WeAreWestHam at manscaped.com. That's WeAreWestHam at manscaped.com. With Black Friday later this week, Cyber Monday coming up fast, and Christmas just around the corner, now is the perfect time to get yourself the gift of shaving. I am talking about the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. The Performance Package 4.0 is the best in the business. This hygiene bundle includes the Lawnmower 4.0, the Weed Whacker, boxers, a travel kit, and liquid formulations.
Yeah, for those who don't know, the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer is waterproof with advanced skin-safe technology to reduce nicks and cuts, and even has a light to help with all those little dark spots down below. And then there's the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer with its proprietary skin-safe technology that helps to prevent nicks, snags, and tugs. And also in the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0 is the Crop Preserver, which is a spray that protects against chafing, the Crop Reviver, which will ensure things down there remain fresh at all times, and then there's the Foot Duster, which will make even the ugliest of feet look and smell lovely, and much, much more. And to top it all off, you even get a shed travel bag so that you can carry all your precious Manscaped products in style everywhere you go. Will, any products in particular that you got your eye on?
James, it's got to be the travel bag for me, mate, to be honest. All those products sound great. We've tried out a few of them already. The Lawnmower 4.0 is superb. Even the Weed Whacker for the nose and ear trimmer is great. But the travel bag for me, as you know, I like to jet set around the planet as much as I can. Been a little bit more difficult in recent times, but I've been able to get back to it a little bit more. So, yeah, having the little bag with all my Manscaped products inside would be absolutely perfect.
Yeah, I agree. Same for me, mate. I don't travel as often as you, but I do need a new travel bag. And now I've got a shiny new Weed Whacker and the Lawnmower 4.0. I need something to put it in. I need something to carry it around and feel proud about what I've got. But I've also got my eye on the Foot Duster because my feet are notoriously very ugly. So anything that has the potential to spruce them up a little bit, I'm all for. So I've got my eyes on those. But
happy days, mate.
So to get your hands on the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0 and to see all the other lovely male grooming products they have on offer, head over to manscaped.com today. And remember, get 20% off and free shipping with the code WeAreWestHam. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code WeAreWestHam. It's all one word, WeAreWestHam at manscaped.com. It's time to join the Manscaped movement. And these products are no joke.
David, I watched the full game against Everton on the weekend, but again, same as everyone else, I haven't watched a full 90 minutes of City since the Carabao Cup game. And exactly what you said there, it just, what I wondered, and I was chatting amongst my friends, and we were saying, I wonder if this ever gets boring, because it seemed very much, and we know what Guardiola's like, it's very much drilled, and it's like you said, it's if this doesn't work, which it does 98%.
We just keep going. Yeah,
exactly. And it looked to me, it was just for a while, I thought, this is just going to be 0-0, because Everton, even when they conceded the first, just had no interest, it seemed to me. They're like, if we lose 2-0 here, that's all right. This is a goal difference game for us. Don't care if we get any points. Don't lose 5-0. That seemed to be and you must get that an awful lot. As a match-going Manchester City fan who watches the games and has to sit and watch that for 90 minutes every week, obviously, when the majority of the time you win the game, I'm sure that softens the blow a little bit.
Yeah.
But just a genuine inquiry which came up in normal conversation at the weekend, does it ever get a little bit tedious now? And because there's all the rest of the teams looking up at teams like City and Liverpool and Chelsea and you know all the big money boys, if you like. I just wonder if it does, you go to the Etihad thinking against a team who aren't really going to try at all, you just have 80% of the ball. Does it ever get a bit like, oh, blimey, here we go?
You'd think so, but I could honestly say, hand on heart, it doesn't. I think that the thing is, Gary Neville said it in commentary. I wasn't very well at the weekend, so I didn't go to the Etihad on Sunday. Gary Neville said in commentary that it's not a very entertaining game because City basically knock it around and kind of probe for openings. And I fully understand. As a neutral fan can watch that and go, God, this is actually a bit dull. But the problem that you have is that ultimately it's not really for them. It's not for the neutral to enjoy. Guardiola doesn't care what the neutral thinks. He cares whether he gets the points and wins his trophies. So because he's not trying to make it an entertaining game, and City, in all honesty, don't want entertaining games, because entertaining games means that the opposition have got a chance to get something out of it.
Jeopardy.
So they're quite happy to kind of do that. But as a City fan, you watch it, and you're watching great players pass the ball around and work openings and work space, and it's, from a technical point of view, it's actually quite good to watch. It's good entertaining play. The frustrating thing as a City fan, and like I'll never criticize opposition teams for doing this, because I fully understand that you know the playing field is not level. But the one thing that really kind of grates is watching the ball go, but City miss a chance and the ball goes behind, and the opposition goalkeeper, walks over to it, picks it up, walks over to the box, and then walks to the other side of the 6-yard box, pops it down, takes a drink, bangs his boots on the goal, looks at his watch, up at the scoreboard, and then kind of runs up and feigns to take a short one. Goes, no, everybody move up like this. We'll go back and then we'll take a goal kick, and just that process again and again gets really, really boring. But if the shoe was on the other foot and City were going to mega rich Chelsea in 2006, I would fully have expected Nicky Weaver to be doing that when he got the ball. So I cannot sit here in good conscience and say teams will stop time wasting against City, knowing full well that we used to do it against teams that had the upper hand when we didn't have the upper hand. So that's the frustrating thing. I think the only other thing that I kind of get wound up by like that there was a couple of weeks ago. Edison's had 2 yellow cards this season for time wasting, and it's really, really funny to see, because I've never seen an opposition goalkeeper booked at the Etihad for time wasting, and like it's almost as if the referees have, listen, you lot are a lot better than these, so you should be lined up with this. It doesn't matter that they do it. You can't do this, and that I find a bit frustrating. But you kind of you rub your hands and go, look at the bigger picture. The bigger picture is that City are doing all right, so don't get too wound up by it. I try and not let football wind me up as much as I used to, and then we lost the Champions League final last year, and I was fucking furious.
Very healthy perspective, David. Well, look, we'll get a score prediction off you, but just one last question there. How do you think, off the back of that, what you're saying about City, how do you think the game will go down at the weekend before we do the score prediction, sort of style-wise, more so?
Yeah, really worried about it. If anything, if the League Cup game's anything to go by, I'm really worried about it, because from the start of last season, let's say, West Ham they've kind of been the team to watch, haven't they? As one of the not traditional big boys, not one of the really rich teams that can go out and solve all the problems by signing another player here and there. You have to be really well managed, and I think West Ham for the last 18 months or so have been really well managed. I watched your game against Liverpool. That wasn't lucky. You were the better team for that game. There were spells where Liverpool came into it, and I was thinking, "Oh, here we go again." But no, you did really well, and you were the better team to win that game. And that's what concerns me. You could do that again to City. If Moyes has a plan, then it could be a real tough afternoon. I would back City to just about get through it. I can see it. I can see it maybe not being the most entertaining watch of the season, but I can see both teams having chances in this game, because I don't think Moyes is going to come into the Etihad and try and be dead. I think he's going to try and work out a way to maybe let City have the ball, but then hurt City when West Ham get it.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, West Ham got an away Europa League clash on Thursday, of course, which, I mean, fans have got different opinions. I don't personally think it's impacted on us at all this season. The performances are good. We just had a couple of unfortunate results off the end, but one was against Man United at home, a game we were in till the 90th minute, could have got a draw. The other one was Brentford, but we've got positive results after European games as well. I don't buy too much into that, but if ever a game is going to test your fitness levels to the extreme, it's Manchester City away. So David, it's been absolutely brilliant having you on the podcast. We appreciate you giving us your time. Give us a score prediction then. Sunday afternoon, 2 p.m. at the Etihad, Manchester City versus West Ham.
I can see a similar game to that one in 17-18. So I'm going to say City will win it 2-1, maybe even nick it 2-1. But I can see City scoring first, West Ham coming back into it, and then City just having enough to get over the line.
Excellent stuff. David Mooney from the Blue Moon podcast there. Absolutely brilliant having you on. Be enjoyable one, Jonesy, won't it? Just to go to everyone, all the fans clapping each other, saying how much they love each other, and then someone gets a late winner, and it's back to the usual gestures. Jonesy, then what's your score prediction before we move on?
I'm going to go 1-1. I think we'll have enough in us to prevent a 5-0. But then at the same time, I mean, I something inside me saying we're not going to win, but I do back us to take something away from it. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, and I'll take it all day long.
fair. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely take it. I just think it's easy to underestimate quite how much it takes to get a result against teams like Man City and Liverpool. We saw it. Liverpool, obviously, you got the added continual moaning at the ref and diving and all that sort of stuff, which you don't get quite as much, I don't feel, with City. But getting a result, any result at the Etihad is quite a big ask. And I think the form seems to have dipped a little bit. We'll see what happens on Thursday night, of course. But yeah, I've got a feeling we might come off on the wrong end of a 1-0 this week. But